Hello, everyone, and welcome to May 2023 meetup at Romania Power BI and Modern Excel User Group. Thank you all for joining the fifth meetup of this year. Thank you for spending your time here when you could be anywhere else. This meetup, we have a very, very special guest. Thank you, Sue, for accepting our invitation, and I'm really glad this is happening eventually. After some delays and some problems with the shoulder, with life, with everything. I'm really glad we were able to reschedule it, and I'm really glad to have you here. For our newest member, my name is Christian, and together with the second Christian Prifti, which is supposed to be here, we will be hosting the meetup today. We are co-hosts on Romania Power BI User Group. Quickly going through the agenda, this is the usual introductory slide. We are on the welcome and overview part. I will briefly present our next meetups. Then Sue will have her feature presentation. Then we'll have live Q&A in the end. If it's not enough time during the session, we will have the Enterprise DNA raffle at the end, and we'll have some more words about it later. And I just saw that I forgot to update the date on this slide, so well, I will edit it on the recording. Just a few organizational stuff. Please make sure that during the session your microphone is muted and your video is turned off for the recording. Sue, if you want it differently, please say it now, and we will follow your lead.
I'm happy with that, and then everyone can just put things in the chat and holler at me to stop, Christian. I'll let you tell me when to stop.
Yeah, for the attendees, please type your questions or comments in the chat. If you have questions, please prefix them with a Q so I can spot them and Sue can spot them easier. If you have problems with the internet connection, please drop off and join again. Teams is recording anyway, everything. It happened to me, and this is why I put it on the slide, so I know. And please make sure, please be advised that this meeting is recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. If you do not want to be part of the recording, please disconnect and you'll see the recording. Our next meetups, our usual meetups once per month will be in June. We will have Matthias Halkier Petersen with a really good session on Power BI row level security, a deep dive in it. Then in July, Gregor Brunner is coming presenting the Measure Killer external app. And if you don't know what this is, you should definitely come and see that session because it's really good. And then in August, with a session which is still to be defined, because Brian has all kind of ideas and there are too many topics that he could present, but for sure Brian Julius is coming, and in August we will be how do you say it? We will have our 2-year anniversary of having Enterprise DNA as the main official sponsor. If you want to see all the recordings or almost all the recordings that we had, please go to our YouTube channel. This is the short link with bit.ly/ropag_history. This is the place where this recording will be uploaded in 48 hours. As I said, since August 2021, we have Enterprise DNA as our primary official sponsor, offering on each of our meetups 2 full annual Enterprise DNA memberships, plus including 2 annual Analyst Hub membership. a total value of approximately $1,000, and all the members that won a package until now were super happy, and I'm really sure that anyone can get a lot of information from their vast portal. They have lots of content there, lots of samples, lots of additional courses. Even Sue has 2 courses on Enterprise DNA.
Yeah, 2 courses on Paginated Reports. So doing a small dive, there's a lot more.
And in order to win one of the 2 memberships, we will have a raffle, the one that I told you at the beginning. At the end, please scan the QR code or go to this short link with bit.ly ropag28_May 2023. Don't worry if you don't have the time to scan it now or type it. I will put it in the chat during the session. It's a form. Just check your option that if you want to participate in the raffle. Even if you don't want to participate in the raffle, please fill up the form so we can improve our future meetups. And speaking of future meetups, I will take the chance to leave the QR code a bit more and tell you something which is first heard here. Starting June, we will increase by 100% our monthly meetups. So we will have 2 and not 1. And we will have one, the regular one, and the ones that I already showed you the schedule, plus 1 in Romanian. The first one will be on the 15th of June. It's a surprise for now. For now, it's still virtual, but we are planning to meet in person. And whoever is in Romania and want to participate and talk to us in Romanian, Cristian Prifti and myself will be hosting, starting June, 2 meetups a month, the regular one in English and the Romanian one. You will get all the details if you are subscribed through Meetup, and if you have questions, suggestions, please put them in the feedback form, no problem. As I said, we are trying to improve here. So coming back to our session today, as I said, I'm really happy to eventually host you, Sue.
Thank you.
We are finally here after months of planning and delaying.
Managed to break my collarbone.
Yeah. For who doesn't know Sue, she's a consultant, blogger, YouTuber lately, certified solution analyst and trainer, certified Power BI analyst, and a long-time teacher delivering computing and business training. In a word, she's a data geek. So is one of the most active community contributor with an in-depth experience in Power BI, Power Query, and Excel, and one of the best teachers I know. She has a long-standing history in demonstrating community leadership and influence, contributing actively to spread the word and bring so many people in the Power BI community. And she's one of the best Power BI ambassadors that this community has. I found her blog a few years ago. Then we got to be part of the same group starting 2.5 years ago, the SML. The guys watching regularly the GynaCube on Saturdays know what SML means. It's the Saturday Morning Learning Study Group. And best of all, I can call her my friend. We've met in person for the first time at SQLBits last year in London. And then this year at SQLBits again in Newport, I think.
Yeah.
And she's actually coming to Romania in July this year. So
super excited.
Welcome again, Sue. And let me tell you, I'm thrilled to have you here. Few words about you, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think I'm going to finish now because I feel quite happy. So, but let me share my screen. So what Christian said, really. I absolutely love what I do. I work for different businesses, all about Power BI and everything to do with Power BI. Because I'm an independent consultant and my businesses are quite small, I literally have to learn everything that they need me to do, whether I know it or not. It's sort of, can we do this? And I'll say, well, I think so. And then I go and find out, and then I do it and share what I do, which is how I learned about Paginated Reports. So I used to design access databases many, many years ago. And once Paginated Reports became accessible to us as a premium per user, then I was really excited to learn about them, and I had a customer that really needed them. So I just learned how to do it. They are, so let's start with what they are and who I am. So this is me. You can speak to me, and best way to reach out to me if you have any questions or anything is on LinkedIn. So that's my profile on LinkedIn. This is me on Twitter, and this is my website. So any questions you have, just ping me on LinkedIn, and I'm more likely to see it and help and answer. So session today, this is what we're going to be covering. I'm going to show you how to do some very quick and easy reporting using Paginated Reports from a report that you have already published. And I use this quite a lot when I want to take away the noise from some changes that I've made to allow my customers to validate. So if I'm doing something specific in the back end in Power Query, which changes something, I'll just show them so they can check, and then it gives them confidence to know that the changes that have been made that they can't see are accurate. Then I'm going to show you how we can use Report Builder, because Paginated Reports are built in a software system called Report Builder, how we can then take our report that we've built in the service and then add to it. Then I'm going to show you how you can use Report Builder to build a Paginated report. There's a start, how we build a table, and how we can add a graph. And they're just a few considerations that you might want to think about. So the key thing to start off with is what is Report Builder? So hopefully you can all see my screen okay. But in here, this is the Power BI service. I've got my apps.power BI, and I've got a Power BI report. You can see it's a data set, it's a report. And if I click on the report here, go to summary, you'll see it's our normal type of report that we would see in Power BI. And this is pulled from, it's just dummy data used from an enterprise DNA project that I did. And you can see in it, if you scroll down, we can see the information. But if I then export this as a PDF, which I did before, it comes up like this. And you can't, as you all know, when you print as a PDF from Power BI, it just prints what you can see on the screen. So what it's printing is this. And quite often what customers will want is they'll want to be able to scroll down into a table. So they want a printable version of a table, not necessarily to print out as a piece of paper, but perhaps to email. And so you might get something like this, sales test, this report. And when you print it out, it will come out very nicely in different pages. So it gives you the ability to replicate and to have more than one page printed in a pixel perfect manner. Why would you do this? So the reason you might do this is perhaps if you might want to print more than one page, and quite often we do, not necessarily as paper, but just as a PDF. Some of the reasons that I've had to consider is for legislation. If you print as a PDF with a date stamp on it, it's something that you can refer to and is not changeable. So it's a way that you can actually meet legislative requirements to prove that you've done what you said you would do by this date and it hasn't been changed. Validation, as I mentioned before, I sometimes use them to create these very, very simple little reports to show 2 or 3 key fields so that my users can check and make sure that the raw data has been completely clear. And also, once it's saved as a PDF or in a non-Power BI user, you can send it to a non-Power BI user. And you're jumping ahead, Christian. Yes, an export to Excel. So you can export to Excel, but I'm going to leave you with that little taster in a moment because I want to explain why export to Excel is so good as a PDF. So let's go back. It's really, really easy to do this. So we're in our app.power BI, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a paginated report. So we have here my report, we have here my data set, and when you click on it, create operational report. So I don't know why it does this, and sometimes it shows create operational report and sometimes it shows create paginated, but basically they're the same. So if you click on create operational report, you'll see here you get this screen. These are all the tables that I have from my report, my data set with the measures, and I've got a filters pane here and I've got a build. And if I just open it out like this, what I want to do is I want to actually just create a report. So I go into my dates, I click on year, and you'll see year comes in here. Then I'm going to add my country. So in my regions, I have my country. So it's showing all of the different combinations of the country. Then I want product name. I might click on product name and you can see it's filling the fields and it's filling the filters. Let's just pull that across. Now in my metrics, I want to pull in my measures. I want to pull in here my total sales value. So I'm just going to make these a bit smaller for you so you can see them. So I can't see my total sales at the moment, and it's because there isn't enough space, so it's showing it. So I can just move it along, and you can see I can enter, I can change it, so I can have year like this, country like this, product name. And this is how easy it is to create a paginated report from a Power BI dataset in the service. Now, there are limitations. So you can pull this in, and this is how quickly it is. And this is what I mean when I say I want to create something that is really quick and simple for my customers to use. So if one of the companies I work for is a law firm, so we might have specific dates for specific things. So it's a way that you can very quickly check to make sure that the business logic is accurate and it's doing exactly what it says, and it gives your customers confidence. So when we click on here, we've got filters. So if I wanted to filter by England, I can click on England here, and it's really, really easy to do this. And you can see all I've got is England. So I can select all of them. So you can filter in this way, and this is a great user interface for your customers. In build, we've got the fields here, and we've got a formatting option. It's very, very basic at this point. So we can change the style, so we can have a bold header. It's basically the ones that you see within the table version within Power BI. So you've got different styles that you have here, and you can flip between different tables, so you can see how it will go from one page to the next, so you can see the different pages that it fits on. And it takes that length of time to do a very quick and simple paginated report. Once you've created this, you can then stop editing it and you can view it. But I just want to take you through some of the options. Yeah, Adrian, this is just in the service. Report Builder is still ugly, but I will get to that one in a minute. So our table format, the only option you have here is the totals row. So you can take on or take off the totals row. And I personally prefer to take it off because I don't want the total at the end of every page, because it's a bit misleading in my view. So, again, customer requirements is up to you. So you can either include or exclude a totals row. You can look to see what it looks like as web or print, and you've got diagnostics, so you can see how long it takes. We've got our home page here. Now, this is quite interesting because it gives you the options to export. So you can export as a PDF, you can export to PowerPoint, you can export to Word. So the same options that you get in Report Builder. The report to Microsoft Excel has some really good use cases. When I first looked at it, I thought, well, why would you do that? Because you just export to Excel from analyzing Excel, or you export a summarized table from Power BI into Excel. But this has no limitation on the rows that you can export. So you can export up to 1 million rows, and I think it's based on basically your processing capability. But there is no, Chris Finlan, who's the program manager for Report Builder Paginated Reports, he said he did not want to put a cap on the number of rows that you can actually export. So if we click on export in Excel, you'll see it's that quick and simple. It exports into Excel, and it has all of the formatting that you need. And I thought, why would I need that many? But there is a case. I do have some use cases where the actual number of downloads from Excel from Power BI causes me an issue when I create a snapshot of a specific thing. So I think I hadn't thought about using Report Builder to export to Excel, but you can. So if I click on viewing, so I save the changes, and we'll call it sales query, save it. And then when I go into my workspace, you can see it's here, and you can share it and you can schedule it. So we've got it here. Flip through, and it'll load all of the different reports that you need. Any questions at this point?
Not an actual question. It was the surprise that Adrian had regarding the face of the new report builder, but it's not the new report builder. This is the Power BI service.
Yeah, it is. But I think there will be, because they're announced in build this week that you're going to be able to do a drill through from a paginated report. So I think there is going to be changes. Not being an MVP, I wouldn't know what's happening in the future, but I suspect that there will be changes coming. So,
even if you were an MVP, you wouldn't be allowed to say it. So.
Oh yeah, it's a bit dull then. So I wouldn't be able to share it with you anyway. So on here then, so what you can do is you can save it, you can print, or you can download a report. Now, this is really useful because it just gives you that ability to be able to create a report. But there are things that I might want to do to this report that I can't. So what I might want to do is I might want to put totals on there. I might want to have a header and a footer, and there are the things that I might want to do to this report to make it better. So you can click here and click download report, and you'll see that this sales query ropug.rdl is ready for a download. So when I open it here, it then opens up Report Builder for me. If you haven't got Report Builder, it will take you through and show you how to download Report Builder, and it's really easy to do, and you can just get it from Microsoft Store. So we are in Report Builder now. So when we're in Report Builder, you'll notice that it's automatically got my tenant. So it's put my tenant in there. So it allows me to connect to my Power BI app.service workspaces. And so for those of you that haven't used Report Builder, it's a bit, you've got your normal Windowsy type Microsoft thing with your fonts, paragraphs, borders, how we can pull in data, because you can, and I'll show you shortly how you can attach to other things other than Power BI, how you can insert in tables or charts and graphs, text, headers and footers, and the view. You can view allows you to decide what you want to see on your screen. So if I click run, so Report Builder works, there's two screens. So if I click run, this will take me into almost like the visual view, and it's very much like the old Access, where you'd create a design, you'd be in the design view, and then you would look at the view to actually view what the screen looked like. And it's pretty much the same as that. So it then comes into this is what your report is going to look like, and you click on print layout and it'll show you what your report should look like. And the key thing you're looking for, and you'll see I'll flip back and forth time and time again, is to make sure there's no white space. So you change, yeah, it is ugly, Adrian. It is not my report, of course, but it basically just shows you what it's going to look like, and you can click on your print layout and you can see I've got one of three. So you flip through and you just make sure that each page has got data on it. There's no extra blank pages, because that's what you want to avoid. You want to no, it should be the same, I think. You want to avoid having blank white pages. Now, this I would only do if I want to make small changes to a report, because if I'm going to use Report Builder to create a report that's a bit more complex with graphs and all sorts of things going on, I need to be very specific about the measurements of the page. But for a nice, quick, simple report, this will allow me to headers, footers, perhaps add a row, a totals row, quite simply. So what I can do in here is I can insert a header. So add header, and then within the header, I'm just going to add a text box. And I'm just going to write sales report. And you can go up here, and this is something you'll all be used to. We can click 14, we can make it bold, we can keep it to the left, we can move it to the right, we can do all sorts of things. But you'll also see there's this properties pane, and this is the joy and the hell of Report Builder, because you can change everything in any way that you like, but you have to know where it is and you have to be able to change it. So I might want to change the color here from black to blue. And I might want to change the font, so you've got all of these options here for font, all sorts of things about localization for which language you're going to use, or number format, but we'll go into that in more detail. So we might want to add a sales report header. I might want to make, perhaps this year, I might want to actually change it so that I fill, so I've got fill here. So I might want to fill it, so we might make it blue. I might want to make the font. So you can very easily customize it to be to meet your actual business needs. So we can do, we should have some padding here. I quite like to increase the padding, because otherwise it sits quite closely on the actual, you see it just moves it out slightly, so it makes it look a little better. And then here, if we go to padding, I want to have 5. And if we run, so every time you change something, you can see, you can just have a quick look. I've got my 3 pages. This is what it's looking like. So my total sales, I'd quite like that over to the left. So you can change a row or you can change an individual cell. So if we then go to our text align for this cell, and let's put it to the right. And if we run it, so you can see it just looks a little bit neater and nicer. And then, right, I want a total, so we might want a header, a footer. So let's insert a footer. I click on add a footer. See, it will be here. The other thing that's really nice about Report Builder, it has these built-in fields. So I quite like if you're you've got pages of report, you want to know how many you've got, that you aren't missing any. So I might want to put in my page number. I'll pop it in there, and I might want to know the overall total pages. So I'll pop that in there. And then if I click on home, so within here, you've got how long it's taken, what language it is, what the page number is. So there's all sorts of options. And these are just basic, very much basic fields that you draw in. So if I press run, you can see down here, 1, 3. It's a bit naff. So what we can do, which is quite cool, I like this. You can actually code exactly what you want it to be. So you'll see here it says and page number, which is a global's page number value. But if you right click and go into expression, you'll see this is what the expression is. So this is where we can do some sort of really custom coding. It's all quite straightforward. So we do page space and global's page number. So that's going to give us page number, then an and space of. Then in here, we've got our built-in fields and we've got our overall total pages. So just drag it in. And you can see how it runs. Make sure I've concatenated everything. Press OK. And we can get rid of this one now. And you can see it's changed from an expression through to, and we can move it around and decide where we want it to go. Then you click run. See, page 1 of 3. How nice is that? And then click next, and click next, and click next. Really nice and simple. And what I've done is I've just aligned it to the bottom of my group. And what I could do is, if I wanted to this particular thing, I could align it so that it aligns to the right. That means my text is going to align there to my right, which is quite useful. Totals. So I didn't like it where it does the totals at the end of each page, because it's open to interpretation. You look at it and you might think, is that full page? Is that 1 page of total, or is it 2? And then you have to flick to the next page and see it's the same numbers. So anything that makes people think and question, you want to try and make it specific. So on here, what I can do is I can right click and insert a row. And if I was going to insert it into the group, it would enable me to give subtitles. But what I'm going to do is insert it outside of the group below. So you see, it just adds a row to my table, but it's not part of the actual data that's coming in. So I'm going to put in here total, and I'm going to make it bold. And I vary. Sometimes I go here, sometimes I go up here. It depends what I'm doing and how easy it is. And then in here, we're going to use an expression. So I'm going to right click, because what I want to do is I want to sum up that particular thing. So again, it's so similar to Access. You've got operators, so this is where you can do if it equals this or it equals that. But the one I use quite a lot is aggregate. So I want to do a sum, and I go up here to my data set. These are my keys. So you see it's got the table name, then underscore, then the field, table field, table field, table field. So I want to do this, and that gives me the sum. Then pop it in there, and I want it bold, and let's have it as 14. And this bit I really like as well. So on here, I want the format. Where is it? Down here, number format. Because this uses .NET formatting, what you can do is you can use currency 0 as the shortcut. I really like this. And then when you press run, you can see it's gone over there, page 1, 2, 3. And we've got our total there. We've made it bigger, but I've got an extra row, extra white space. You can what's that? So you go back to design. This is why you do it each time. And it's because this is too big. So if you make it as 14, which of course I did on purpose, you'll see that it's still coming up there. So I want to make it a little bit smaller. So make it 12. Can make it 14. And what you can do is you can change the columns here so that if we look on this one, you can start to actually make them a bit smaller, and you can make them smaller either by dragging or dropping them, or you can change the size down here. See, it's doing it in inches now, whereas before it was millimeters. So I don't know why it does that. So this is why it's playing up on me. Smaller. Yes, you can define a template very easily. So on here, year, country, product name, total sales. So you have, so this is why it's really important just to go back and forth, so that you can check and see how it's fitting in. Then what we can do is we can publish it to the service. And this is what I would do just for something really, really quick, so that I don't query. That I don't want to spend a lot of time on. That you can see then when I go into this Power BI fresh. Service. Come up in there. Which one was it? Out of my workspace. Paginated Report. Yeah, probably. And when we go here, in fact, actually, yes, you can, Rajesh. pronounce your name terribly. You can. There's Chris
Terrific.
Finland. Chris Finland did a blog on how you can use ChatGPT to write a paginated report for you. There we go, sales query header. So on here, you've got this with our header, page 1 or 2. We go to the end, and we can see we've got our total at the end. And if we export it to a PDF, this will show us what it looks like as a PDF. And you can see the 3 screens. So it's a very quick, simple way where you can actually take your data and export it as a PDF. The thing to consider is that once you take it from Power BI service to Report Builder, you can't then amend it in Power BI service. Once it comes out of the service and it goes into Report Builder, you can't then change it and save it in the service. So that's something to be considered. What you might want to do, and this is one of the things that you don't have the flexibility to do at the moment, is when you publish it, you can see you can't. So when we go to our design, you can't have a parameter in the service. So we have the sales query row pug, and I showed you how when you click on editing here,
using the filters.
Using the filters. Once you publish it, those filters go away. So you can only use it when in edit mode using the filters, which is okay if it's something quick and simple that your customers might be happy to do. But with most Power BI reports, what you want to be able to do is you want to have the option for your customers to choose the parameters and to choose what they want to choose. What we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to take one from the service and add a parameter. And then the final bit, I'll show you how to create a report from directly within Report Builder. So from here then, if we go back to, this is our sales report, and what we might want to do, hey Fernando, what we might want to do is we might want to add a filter to this. So on here, we have our data sources, which is our workspace. Then we have our data set. So to create a filter, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to add another filter to another data set to this. So the easiest way to do this is to click on data sets, add data set, and I'm just going to call this year. See where I'm going with this. And it's from my workspace, Management Insights SC. And if you click on Query Designer, you can it just makes it much easier to do it for you. So if we go on to dates, click on year, and just pop year in there and click to execute the query. We've got 2014, 15, and 16, which are my distinct values in my year, and press OK. And you'll see, and you can, if your DAX is good and you're quite happy to, you can just type in your DAX here as well. And so we pressed, you see, it's called year, it's Management Insights. And what you'll see is it creates another data set, another year. So what I want to do now is if I go up to my parameters, I want to add a parameter, a new parameter. So a parameter is basically like a slicer. So I'm calling it year. I'm just going to call it text for now. The available values, I want to get it from our year data set. And it's year and it's year. And the default values, I'm going to specify, and I'm just going to put it in 2014 because I don't want to keep selecting it. Press OK. So I've got my parameter, which you can see is up there. I've got my data set. Now I need to apply it to my tablets. So what do I mean by a tablet? Everything on the page is an object. So we've got text, we've got expression. When you create a table or a matrix or an object, it calls it a tablet. You can see at the moment I'm in text box 6, So I don't know why that would be 6 actually, but we're in text box 6, and when I click in it, it selects the whole tablets. But if you click in this top one, so this top left box here, and you right click, that selects the tablets properties. It took me forever to find that out to start with. And then let's call this sales table. Calls everything a name, because when you get errors, it's much easier to troubleshoot with finding the name rather than tablets 1, tablets 2, text box 1, just name everything and it will save you so much pain. So it's coming from the sales table. It's based on dataset 1, and you see it's got this little option here for filters. So I'm going to add a filter to my year column. It's text, it's going to be equals, and the value that I want, if you press FX, it takes you into this expression builder. The value that I want, if you see parameters, it pulls up year. So the parameter that I want is whatever is in my parameter slicer. And I just want to show you one more thing. And then on here, I want to repeat the header columns on each page and keep it visible while scrolling. This is a really nice thing about the service. You only have to do it here, not in the actual advanced options when you use Report Builder. So if you press OK, then we press Run. 2014. If I click on 2015 and view the report, your SQL's probably better than mine, Russell. I think there's lots of different ways you can do these things, and I just do whatever speaks to my brain. Click View Report. So you can see how it's changing, how the title, so a customer can slice it, dice it, and then print it however they want to do it. So then if we click Design, and we could then publish this. But you know what customers are like. You give them something which meets exactly what they want, and they go, oh, yeah, but wouldn't it be nice if I could have more than one parameter, if I could choose 14, 15, and 16, or just 14 and 16, or this. So we might want to have our parameter have extra values, not just be a one thing. So if I click on my parameter and then click on parameter properties, I'm going to break it, but I'll show you why it breaks. And I'm going to say allow multiple values and press OK. So right, that's what I wanted to do. Error. I get lots of these. So you then click on the details, and the details are actually really, same, Russell. So if you look, it'll tell you, and this is why you want to name things, because the process for filter expression for tablet sales table, so you know straight away it's your sales table. And because you're back and forth checking, you can really filter down what you've changed and what's caused it to break. Because sometimes the expression, the query, error queries really help you. Sometimes they don't. So it's worth just continually checking back and forth and naming things. Now, I know what this means. It's gone then a little thing. Does anyone know what's wrong with it? So our system string doesn't match with our system object. A bit of coding for you. Data can't compare data as type system.string with system.object. I'm watching the chat. I'll have a sip of water.
No, nobody knows exactly.
Learning day. Oh,
yeah.
Adrian, you are a star. Yeah. One is a string and one is a table of values. So what do we mean by that?
More or less trying to compare dates with numbers in Power Query.
So right? Very similar. So what we've told our report to do, to filter on, is we have said equals. So when we had it as one thing, we said equals. Filter my table by equals. Once we sent it to a parameter, what we're passing in is an array. So it's not an equals, it's an array. Yeah. So when we go to our filters, we need to change this equals to be in. So what you're saying is not equals, because that's one thing. What we want it to change it to is in. So we want to say it's in this. So you do need to, these things are only simple when you know them and when you know, but I have to Google that. I was like, why are you not working? And then, of course, when you find out, you're like, oh, yeah, duh, of course. So now you can see that I can actually select them all. Click View Report. And now I've got my 3 pages of all of them, which is quite nice. And then, so that's a really simple way that you can take something from Power BI service and then amend it easily, republish it, because then I can republish it back to Power BI service with a header. I think Fernando's got his hand up.
No, was it a hands up or a thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up. Woohoo. So any questions so far?
Yeah, actually, there are 3 questions. One
Yeah.
from Anthony. Yeah, one from Anthony.
Yeah.
And he's asking, can you create multiple tables on the same page?
Yes, you can, but not in the service.
Okay. And then I had 2 questions. Can a report be saved locally? Sorry, as
Yes.
RDL file and then published on a normal SQL Server reporting services? So with a source in Power BI?
Oh, I don't know. Adrian? I'll pass it out to someone else who knows. I don't know. I would presume so. Why not? Yes.
I will probably test it tomorrow because
Test it tomorrow and let us know.
I have a Power BI report server, which is actually a SSRS, customized SSRS. And I will try to build a report from the service and publish it on the report server to see whether it's working.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. There are some changes. I've noticed there's a few things. So like when I clicked on allow the column headers to be on each page, there's a couple more steps you need to do in normal report builder to do that. But I don't see why not.
It should work.
It should work. Yeah, you can let us
And
know.
I had another one. Can a report be started directly in the Power BI report builder and not on the service?
Let's do that now. So let's just close it. So we've closed it.
Take it as a yes plus something.
Yes, plus. Yes, definitely. And this is where, so when you use Excel and you use Excel in the web, you have some functionality, more and more functionality, but it's not quite the same as using Excel on the desktop. And it's that, but you can do very small things with Report Builder in the service, but not a lot. When you download it from the service, you can make some changes, but you can't make lots of changes. There are some things that don't quite marry up. I was trying to do a few things, and it wouldn't work for me. So if I was going to do something more complex, where I have different tables, so for example, something like this, where I've got a chart and a report, I wouldn't do this in the service. I would do this in Report Builder. Just because I've got more flexibility and I want things to look in a certain way. So I would start something that's more complex in Report Builder, because the thing I found is that you have to be very, very specific about size of page and visuals to stop getting these white pages. And I think someone asked a question about a template.
Yeah, it was still me, because you know me, I'm not lazy, I'm efficient.
Yeah.
And I don't like so many clicks I feel like I'm in the theme for Power BI where you can customize everything.
Absolutely. And what I would draw your attention to is Laura GB. Laura GB has got 12 days of paginated reports, a YouTube session. She goes through there how to create a template. So you would have a template. Yes, you can use brand colors, and if I can, I'll show you how to do those if we have time. But Laura GB is absolutely brilliant for this template exactly. So you can build a template for your organization. You can set up where your logo should be, what the front page should be, what the bottom page should be. You can set a custom theme where you can actually put the specific colors in, and then each time you then open up this theme and you start from that. So
this is really cool.
Yeah, so she's very good. So on here, so what I've done basically, I've just opened up a blank report in Report Builder. I personally, for me, I find the wizards confuse me, but that's just my brain. So they might work for some other people. I think it's because I came into this from Access, and I sometimes the wizards just confuse me a bit. So it's the same, and you can see it's remember my login. So you have to log in because that then gives you access to your Power BI service. So a data source, first thing you've got to do, well, you would open up, what you would do is open up your template. So open up your template, and then you then add in your data source. So it's a bit like, if it was Word or something, you open up your template and you've got your headers, your footers, your everything's there. So on data source, right click. Now there's two things: add a Power BI dataset connection or add a data source. So when we say data, these are all the things that you can attach to. So you can even enter, and quite a few of the tutorials give you the enter data, so you can have the data sat within the report to enable you, to learn. But I'm going to get a Power BI data set. You can get it up there, or you can get it here.
Oh, is enter data similar to enter data in Power Query in Excel or Power BI? So a kind of local JSON?
Yeah. You just
never used
data,
it.
and then you can enter data. Data type. I don't use it generally, but you can do. There's quite a few of the tutorials use the enter data because that allows them for you to very specifically not worry about data issues. You're concentrating on what you have to do to get it to look in a certain way. So we'll do it here, Power BI data set. So it's coming in now from the service, and you can see all of my different, see my admin monitoring, to be playing with that, and data marks and a little bit of fabric. Paginated report, and this is my data set in here. So we click select. So this is my data source. It's got my workspace, and then it's got my Power BI report. And let's just call it sales query. And then our data set. Did I do that one? Check and open that. It's chatting. Sales query. Let me just check the query. So it's changed. What you used to do is add the data source, set the data source there, and then you would have to do the query. But I think what it's done is it's automatically linked from the data source to the data set, unless I missed it on as I was chatting. So if we just do the same thing. So yeah. And country. Product name, and measures are up here. So key measures.
Because you have them in a separate table, or because this is how they are from?
Always puts the measures in a separate, always separates the measures out and puts them up at the top. And
So
my measures in my Power BI report are KPI measures created from calculation groups and Tableau
mhm.
Editor, whereas it ignores that and it just pulls in total sales. And then if you run it, you can see what it looks like.
So if I understand correctly, if you have a Power BI report with a single measure, lots of calculation groups built in Power BI, working there normally, you will see in a paginated report only the single measure that you've defined, right?
Let's have a look. So all these are my key measures.
Mhm.
And this one, total sales, is a KPI within Power BI.
Mhm.
This metric selection is my selected metric using a calculation group, but I don't think that will work. I haven't tried it because I just don't think it will work. I'm not going to do it now. We'll do it
Yeah.
off screen. We'll play with it off screen, but I don't think it'll work because it's relying on functionality built in within Power BI rather than Paginated Report.
This is why I'm asking.
Yeah.
It would be strange to have calculation groups working without context in a
Exactly.
paginated report.
And this is a thing you need to think about when you use the measures that you've built within Power BI that rely on context evaluation or context.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily follow through, because if you've done what I found is if I was doing running totals, but I was, filtering out all this and I only wanted this, so which was built purely for Power BI, didn't necessarily work in paginated reports. So
Mhm.
I tend to use the simple measures to pull them in where I'm not where I haven't built the measure for context transition. It is context transition, isn't it?
It's context evaluation, and
Context
then
evaluation,
it will transition if needed.
Exactly. So things like that, like running averages, I tend to do the more complex calculations that I require in Report Builder, using either sum or running total or is nothing. So there are certain ways that Report Builder works that doesn't necessarily correlate with Power BI, because you don't have to think about every visual and everything on a page, filtering everything else. So that's in my experience. Okay. So if we press OK, so what we've got then is we've got our sales query. So what we can do is, if we just do, I'm just going to do a chart. I will insert a chart, but before I do that, I just want to talk to you a little, see that, millimeters, a little bit about sizing. So when you click on here, this properties pane here opens up the report. Now the report is 21 centimeters by 29.7, which is A4, and it's got margins of 2 centimeters. And these are, you can change these. And the interactive size is what it would look like on a web browser, I'm pretty sure. And consume container white space. It gives you the this here, so it indicates whether minimum white space is consumed or preserved, and we don't want it to be preserved. So I usually turn this to be, I want it to be true. So I don't, if there's white space, I want it to consume it. So our page, and I always write it down, is then 21 take the 4, so that gives me 17. So just scribble it. And then 29.7 take the 4 gives me the 25.7. So my page has to be that wide and that for one particular page. Otherwise, you get the white space. And if you get the white space and you can't work out why you've got the white space, take it from me, you sit in a dark corner rocking, thinking, why is it doing that? Why did that? So then I change the body to meet the size of my printable version. So my width, I would want it to be 170 mil. And the height, I would want it to be 257 mil. So straight away then I'm actually keeping the space that I want. So now when I insert a chart, and I'm just going to put it here for now. And you can see this, you know, this like Excel from back along. We put in our Excel.
Looks like Excel 2010.
Yeah, it's really old, isn't it? It's old Access too. But I mean, from what people say, most people don't do charts. You know, paginated reports are generally tables. I think very few people do charts in paginated reports.
I've seen paginated reports at least on the first page, there's 2 or 3 small charts, and then just numbers.
Yeah. So pie charts. So size.
3D pie charts, please.
So yeah, 3D. So the position here, this says where in the page you want it, and you can see here that it's zeros. It's so the left is this. So you say, where do I want that? So I want that, and if I just show you 0, and it pulls it right over to the left margin. So on here, this is my my title, and if we see, it's always at the bottom where the line and the position. And you spend all your time scrolling down to the bottom.
Clicking.
Yeah, clicking. So the width, I only want the width to be, let's just do 150, so it's not going to go any further over. And the height, I'm just going to make that 15. And then I change this. Okay, so it's called it chart 1. So it's always good to give it a name, just in case you have any errors at all. So left is 0, and I'm just going to do that to be 20. I'm going to have it as 20. Now the size, so this is my width, so I'm going to just have it as 160. And my height, let's make that good. My screens, I've got the resolution up, so I don't have to worry about zoom it. And so you've got your chart there and you can run, but when your resolution is normal 100%, I don't know, Adrian, actually. I'm sure there must be a way you can. So on here then, you can just look, and I'm just looking, it's 1 of 1, and this is roughly what it looks like. I bet you can actually, you know, you could probably set a parameter or a value and have it equal to that.
Percentage of something, maybe?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if you had it, probably you could. It'd be silly not to, really, wouldn't it? But yeah, a variable, I would say. If you had it the same as a variable, that would make sense.
If you have variables like in DAX, which are constant, it's not really helpful.
But if you had a variable that was the width, so you could set them all to be that width, that would work.
Yeah, speaking of clicks and the variables and the previous question regarding templates, can you also put charts inside templates and themes? There was a question about themes. Well, I'm pretty sure.
Could, but yes, you could, because, and I'll show you why. So I create this chart. So this chart is like this, and currently it has no, hang on, let's click on view and get rid of the groups. Just make it a bit easier. We don't need to see the parameters either. So on here, this is the size of the chart. And so what you can do is you could actually then set the columns to be a certain color. Or you could put the borders around it, or you could do the titles. You could do, yeah, possibly use a parameter as a value variable. Something to look up anyway. Someone Google it while I'm doing this, or Bing it, chat GPT and Bing it. So this and it confused me when I first started using it, because I was thinking, well, it's got stuff in there. My stuff isn't called A, B, C, D, E, F. What is it? But what it is, it's just a holding thing. So if you right click on it, it pulls up this chart data. So this is where you add your value. So I might put my total sales in here, and then would put my category group. So my category group, I'll put country, and then my series group, I might put year. And then, yeah, agent's making me laugh. So on here, you can see, because I've filled it with data, you've got the colours, and you've got the country, and you've got things. So I would say that you could actually have this as your template, because all you're doing is adding the data set to
a different data set, right?
Yeah, a different data set. So that would make complete sense. But this looks a bit rubbish, and this looks a bit rubbish, and there's no chart title. So what you can do then is, when you click on it, so it's click. So I've clicked in the chart, then clicked to select the axes. Then I can right click and I can go into horizontal axes. So in here, then I can change the font. So I can change it to be blue. You can also change it in here as well, and you can have different effects in it. You can choose the font size. You can choose whether it's bold. You can choose the font. You press OK and make it blue. And the same with this one. It just puts dummy data in it. But if we look at our vertical axes, we can actually change the number here, and we could make it custom. And see if this will work. C0. Nice. .NET formatting. Love this.
Lots of things to learn.
He can write, Russell, native SQL queries in Power BI. And if he knows the SQL, he can make it faster than Power Query. Something for him to try. There you go. See, look, nice. So we can straight away, we can start to make, really make it look how we want it to look. Yeah, it's not quite like Power BI for the visuals by any means, but it does give you that pixel perfect where you can actually print it either as a PDF. Yeah, data marks. I'm looking to see what they do with those. Got one set up ready to go. So we can, and the other thing you can do is you can put borders around. So if you want a border around, but just be careful, because with your border makes your visual a bit bigger. So border width. So if you're very specific about where you're going with your border, then it can go over. So you can, that will then give you that extra space, that extra page. So that gives you a border, and you can put a chart title in there. And again, I quite like this bit on it. Sales by
On object editing in Power BI in Paginated Reports.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The on object experience, which I hated for now.
Oh, I haven't turned it on. So on here, then you've got, you can fill it in. You can do whatever you want to it. So you've got the options here, and click that title properties. So you can choose where you want it to go. If I move this out of the way. So you've got a lot of options about where you put it, whether you fill, you could fill it. So we could have it blue, font, we could have white. And it is quite faffy in that you're doing it, but it just works. Once it's set up and it's running and you spend the time, it just works and it prints perfectly. But what I want to show you, this is for Michael, because he's done my course, so he wanted something new. So I wanted to show him how he can use a switch statement, because what I couldn't find is I wanted, and this goes back to someone's question about how to customize themes. So on here, what I wanted to be able to do, I wanted to do like you do in Power BI, where you say, actually, I want this to be, you know, when you just say, I want this column to be this, I want this to be this, I want this to be that. What you can do in here, so I'm out of my chart, I pull on my chart, click in, and I've actually got my series. So I've got my columns. If you right click, go to series properties, fill. And see where it's got the color automatic, it's got the little FX. So if you click on FX and see it's got automatic, what you can do is you can do a little switch statement. This is what I did earlier. So what I'm saying is switch. So if the field year.value equals 2014, then make it blue. But if the value is 2015, then make it slate blue. Or if it's 2016, make it grey. So if I wasn't sure what colour I wanted, I could click down here and it will put it in for me. And then you press OK, then you press OK, then you run. See if it works. See? So
Really cool.
So you can be really, really specific about what colours you want your visuals to look like so that they can then meet the business theme. And there is a way. So here, see this palette, this is the palette that you use. See, that was for you, Michael, because you said you wanted something new. And you can have, so I think here, if you click on custom, this is where you would be able to set your custom palette. And then that would then, because there's a collection, but I haven't had to do that. But that's where you would do it. You would change the palette and the collection to be exactly specific, and you can put the hex code in and everything. So just one more thing. So once you've done this, you've got your chart, you can make it look all pretty, etc. Then what you can do is you can insert your table. So I want to insert my table, and I'm just going to put it here. And what I would do if I wasn't on it, if I was doing it commercially, I would make sure I would put in exactly the exact measurements. But so here, yeah, and I'll just make it a bit smaller. But actually, no, I'm not going to. Control Z takes it back because I want to break it so that you can see country. It's one of the things that really annoys me about it. Put total sales in. See, it makes it jump out.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say, no, you specifically set that page to be within the boundaries of your report. It'll move the body of the page out. So when you press run, it's gone over. So if you go into your print layout, you'll see I've got 1 of 8. So be really, really, really careful, because it will automatically try to accommodate this, and then you get your white page. And you're like, oh, which is it? What have I done? And sometimes it can be a space, if you've allowed enough space either. I know. So you don't have to print it on paper, but even if you print it as a white space or publish it it doesn't give you the same visual simplicity of having everything fitting on one visual screen or one visual page. So you just like, it doesn't tell you. So you go back here, country, and again, I would measure all this. But see, my page doesn't go back. It doesn't automatically go back. So you then have to go to your page of your border, which is 185, and we know that we wanted it to be 165. You go to 165, and you can really just in 2 seconds just make it look really nice. So we can go to our fill, make it blue, make our font white. We'd have totals. We'll make that to make sure number. Let's have it as I just like this .NET. Make it look like that, make it look a little bold, make our total sales. We align it. It's probably because I've got it highlighted. It's gone. Put it up here. It doesn't do it one way, they'll do it another. Yes. Then click run. There we go. See, nice. And then you can just click, click, click. I haven't put the total in, but I've shown you how to do that anyway. So that is how you create, and that's using it from Report Builder using a Power BI data set. Like that. So if we go back to my little PowerPoint, so we've covered quick and easy reporting in a service, using Report Builder to then add parameters and filters to your Paginated report from the service using Report Builder, subscription and email. I'll show you that quickly. And then we've done using Report Builder as a start. So we've opened up Report Builder, we've attached to our Power BI data set, and from that we've created headers, footers, we know about spaces. We built a graph and added a graph with custom switch formatting. We've added a table, considerations. What did I want to say? Considerations. Yes, so considerations. Be very aware that when you build your reports, think about your data. So if, say, for example, this is my sales by year and country, if the number of countries expand, the chart will expand. And because the chart expands, you do have the possibility that it will go over the page. So you have to consider what's the expansion, and there's different code that you can write to stop it expanding or not expanding. So there's different things that you can do to deal with that. Also, tables will only go down. Yeah, top end. So you could put in the top end. So tables will only go down, but if you use a matrix, it will expand to the right. So again, think about that. So once you start building a report, start thinking about how you actually want that report to look, and what's the data likely, what the likelihood of that data is going to be. So for me, for one of mine, it's project growth, month on month, year on year to go on. So you might want to set it to say running total from the last. So we did a summary. So the last 12 months was up to this, and then it's up to that, and then this is what the forecast. So you need to think about your data and how it evolves. And the last thing, because we're multicultural and different people, you can set the language for your report. So if you want it, sometimes if you downloaded one and it was giving me dollars, what you can do is you can go into report, and because it's so old, don't look for paginated reports. Look for SSRS.
Still Googling and not binging.
So you can find basically .NET formatting. So you can find it for your. I'm just ignoring you, Christian. So you can look at numbers formatting. So you can look at numbers formatting, and it'll tell you how to format things. But search for Report Builder, not paginated language code. So I know that UK is EN-UK. So you can set the locale for your for Report Builder using the language property. And, you'll find it. Just Google it and find it, and then it will set it for whatever you want. And I think that is everything I wanted to. Did you have to use Internet Explorer? Well, it's funny when you do. So with these downloads, so I downloaded the stuff. So I'll show you. So sales test. See, look, different little one pops up. So that was my old Microsoft Edge. Now I've got this one. So you wonder whether this one is the one with.
The new one is the one with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, yeah. ChatGPT.
I saw the announcements at Build. It will be embedded everywhere in Microsoft.
It is. It's just coming up nicely. So, are there any questions?
There was one more. Let
I
me
stopped
share my
sharing.
screen. We had some questions during the chat, and I think you've answered. I had an additional question regarding the themes, and I told you I'm efficient, not lazy.
Yeah.
And is there any option to have the theme, like a theme file, a JSON file, like you have in Power BI, or you have to actually do it completely once and you will save the report and change only the source?
I would just save that. I would save the report. Just save the report. I don't know if it's actually yes. You can, Christian. Yes, you can. You can.
There is a JSON file somewhere with all the settings.
With everything, with all the settings on. Because I tried to do that.
I would save it somewhere. So if I would take the time to go through and set up everything for a corporate file, I would save it somewhere, the JSON file, on a OneDrive or somewhere.
You can. You can. Yeah, you can, because you can then open it, I think, in Visual Studio Code. So it's just a wrapper around the data, so you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Russell, so you do my course on enterprise DNA. Enter the raffle, get a thing, and you've got probably about 8 hours of me sharing my learnings on Paginated Report.
Plus few hundred hours additional on all kind of things.
Yeah, definitely. And also they've done a new ChatGPT one. So I know Sam McKay is really, really into everything.
Really?
Yeah. So they're really going for it with that one, but not until after you've done my course. So yeah, it's good. I did enjoy doing it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Sue. It was really an eye-opening session, at least for me. I've learned so much, and thanks again for taking the time and coming to show us what you know, even if it's only 1 hour. I'm pretty sure I will take at least one of the courses there when someone will ask me a paginated report, even if it's not from this one. You know, speaking of this, I was asking at the beginning whether you can start from the report builder. Yes. And it happened to me, and I asked it on purpose because I had report builder installed on my PC and I couldn't find the connection to the Power BI service because there are actually 2 of them. So,
yes. I think they've made it a bit easier now. There's 2.
Yeah.
There are 2 report builders that you download.
Yeah. And for me, it took forever to find out that there is another one that I could use. And I thought I was behind. I was very stupid and still, yeah.
And Report Builder will do that to you. But like Russell, that's why I did the course, because I literally sat in a corner rocking, just frustrated as to why have I got another white page? Where has it come from? I don't understand. And particularly if you're trying to do, I had to regenerate a report which had multiple charts, multiple tables, expanding data, very, very specific instructions. So it was, I learned, and it was very, very painful. So if I can save anyone the pain that I went through, then please.
The data
it was the errors. everything is tablex 1 to tablex
Yes.
376, and
Yeah.
nothing was marked up. The developers were getting frustrated because they were like, come on, you're the young Power BI guy, you should do all of this, is easy. And it was, yeah, I mean, it's not intuitive at all, is it? Like, I gave up on the matrix after 2 hours of trying to do like the matrix wizard. I was like, I don't know how to do anything. That I'm terrible. It as Christian said, it made me feel really, really stupid.
Yeah.
And like, why can't I just do this simple wizard?
I wanted to do it. I didn't like the wizards at all. I tried the wizards and I just thought they are not. I'm glad you said that, because I just thought they don't make any sense to me whatsoever. They really don't. So I just found my advice would be, make your queries simple. Don't pull in more than what you need. Just make it simple. Don't worry about the complicated DAX, and just be very aware that the relationships, you have to use a measure to stop those cross joins and across tables where everything's repeated. It needs to have a measure in every query.
I have one more question, Sue. Can you use the subscription in the service?
Yes.
To get an email.
Yes.
And not a PDF on email, but an Excel file on email. So you can start everything as a paginated report. I know you can do it in SSRS and have subscriptions with attached emails. Because I had requests on the normal SSRS to get some Excel files on it. And this was how I did it, normal paginated reports. And then on the subscriptions, I just ticked the attachment as Excel. And you still had the report there if you wanted to check it, but the email subscriptions were with Excel attachments. And I'm not sure if it's working in the service.
Let me share very quickly and we'll just see if we can. So it's here. The subscribe to report.
Yeah.
So you saying, yeah. To add a new subscription. Sales test
format.
Exactly.
Yeah. Working.
Renders, view parameters. And so yeah, you can view the parameters to say what parameters and how often, which is really cool. So I think they are making it. I think there is, as much as people say, oh, it should just be Power BI, and I love Power BI. I really, really love Power BI. But sometimes people don't want to use Power BI. They don't want to learn it. They just want to have what they had before, and that's it.
Well, speaking of Power BI, I heard it on Build this week. It will be installed with Office in the future. So even if you have or you don't have subscriptions, whenever you install Office, you will have Power BI desktop on your file. So it might get more popular like this. Yeah, I heard it in an announcement, Adi.
Yeah.
Well, Power Automate Desktop, it's only in Windows 11 by default. In Windows 10, you don't have it.
Yeah.
You can install it this week.
Yeah, I know. But for me, for example, where I work, I'm not allowed to use Power Automate Desktop. Only the cloud version. Well, I've heard it's pretty different than the cloud version.
It's totally different. They do different things. They are not built for the same thing. Anyway, it's a Power BI report builder.
But Power BI Desktop will be installed together with all the rest of Office, and yes, probably nobody knows exactly. This is only the announcement, the general announcement. It will probably be available as a tick in the admin page to not have it or something like this, to restrict it.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks again, Sue. It was really great. We still have a few more minutes for the Enterprise DNA raffle.
Tabular editor and DAX debugging, because that's
please. Well, for now, to be honest, I have everything scheduled in terms of these meetups until November, so
The
it will
next
be.
three are really good. I know the next three, and I've met them all, and they're awesome presented.
But I'm really looking forward to have you back next year,
Yes.
maybe as an MVP by then.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll
They might
see.
not be, they might not.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's move quickly to the Enterprise DNA raffle, and after the raffle, I will stop the recording, and whoever wants to stay a bit more for chit chat and with camera, with microphones, everything, feel free to do it. Let's move to the raffle and see how many participants do we have. So for now, my latest refresh was half an hour ago, and we had 8 participants and 11 answers. I did everything, of course, in a Power BI report, and it's easy. So let's refresh the data and see our latest data.
Of course, not everyone fills the form in, do they? It's only if they want the.
Yeah, it's I have a flow, pretty easy setup, taking the data from the form, putting them in a SharePoint, and then connecting with the Power BI to the SharePoint file. And as I told you, I'm lazy. I've built a Power Apps inside the Power BI report, so I can write back inside
Life is
the.
short, so you don't want to spend.
Yeah. After we get the winner, I'm writing them back into the SharePoint with the Power Apps inside Power BI. So I don't want to put filters there. So let's move to get the name of the
See some local
participants.
Power Apps there, Adrian.
So we have in the end 8 participants. Let me refresh again just to make sure. Zoom it in a bit. Of course, again, Power Query, Power BI for the win. Copy everything and move to. This is the link that I put in the chat with the blog on Fabric. If you want to stay up to date, just subscribe here and you'll see it. But I need the Enterprise DNA, the wheel of names for the raffle.
Wheel of names.
So let's put the names here. Delete the header. What did I do? Shuffle. And drum roll, please. Our first winner is Robert from US.
Hey,
Congrats.
Robert! That's brilliant.
And shuffle again. And drum roll, please. Ophelia,
Brilliant.
first time you are lucky. Oh. Thanks again, everyone, for the winners. I will contact you after the meetup to confirm your email addresses. And, thank you again. It was really great having you, Sue. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. And I'm really looking forward to host you again next year.
It's
As I said,
a tabular editor with some DAX and a bit of Tyndall, I reckon.
I'm really looking forward to that because Tyndall will be huge. And speaking of build, there was a project announced there with integration or readiness for GitHub. And whenever we will have Tyndall too, it will be really, really cool.
But I am going to shoot because my son comes home today and he's been away for 6 months. So he's on his way. So I'm super. Yeah, Tyndall, Adrian, not Tinder. TMDL, Tabular Model Definition Language. But yeah, I think we all raised our eyebrows when he said that. So anyway, I will go. But thank you, everyone. And I'll catch up with you later, Christian.
Well, thank you. Thanks again.
Bye,
and
all.
thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
So-
See you in June.
Yes. Take care. Bye. And if you want to connect on LinkedIn. All right. See you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.